Alrighty, guys, don't forget, live stream on YouTube after Game 2. That is right. As soon as the game finishes, we'll be going live on YouTube. It'll be myself, Mitch Pearce, Timmy, Maddie, and we'll be calling Hammy from the grounds, reviewing Game 2 of Origin. It's live on YouTube, so make sure to be here. As soon as kickoff ends, we will be here reviewing the game, going in a deep dive. Then after that's all done, then we'll upload it to audio. So if you want to be here live immediately, come to the Bloke in a Bar YouTube channel. We will be live, myself, Mitch Pearce, Timmy, Maddie, and Hammy on the blower, talking Origin 2.
Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the DMP. Look, it's still a DMP. It's still a DMP. Tom and Eddie, they had some work stuff come up late notice, so they couldn't make it today. So I got the great Skipper Scope to fill in, who, ironically, you must have felt it in the wins. You're wearing the Good Day shirt. We got the Good Day in front of you. It's brought to you by Good Day, guys. Make sure to head over to their Instagram or give them a follow, Good Day on Instagram, or make sure to subscribe and grab yourself some multivitamins. I take it every day. It's the best. But Skipper Scope, how you going, brother?
It's a good day to be on a podcast with you, Beak.
Absolutely.
How about that? And, I watch the show religiously, right? So I feel like even this has got a bit of Tom vibes about it.
It definitely does, yeah.
It's sort of Tom hoodie or sweater or whatever we call it. So ready to go, mate. It's been a while. Vegas was the last episode we did together right at the start of the year.
Wow.
So it's been a while, mate. Plenty to talk about.
Mate, I was actually, when I was thinking about it, I was excited because I want to get your thoughts on the whole Origin, how's it been, but also your thoughts on the season. But I want to get straight into Origin because no matter how much we try to pretend Origin isn't the focal point of the content or the media game right now, it is. What's your thoughts so far? If you could rate Origin series out of 10 when it comes to drama, the actual footy being played, when it comes to everything, has it delivered so far?
Drama, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
On field, 1 out of 10. There's no in between with it, right? All the hit, like in reality, the hit ruined the contest, but it didn't ruin the drama. We both work for SEN. I was calling the game at the stadium. It took me a while to just get myself in the rhythm again on radio and remove myself as a fan because I still had a game to call.
Yeah.
It was so awkward. I'm looking down at the crowd, seeing what the vibe was like.
So you were at the game.
Out there. We're calling it at the stadium.
You could feel it, like watching it, you could feel the stadium just go...
deflate.
Yeah.
Everything deflated. Maybe that was just more me as well intrinsically. But such a unique situation. After time had settled at the time, because I was calling the game and wanted to enjoy the contest, part of me was like, you can't send him.
Yeah. But
enough, a couple of days after, rewatched it, seen the replay, seen the aftermath, and look, it was the right decision, in my opinion. And it's found its way into Origin 2, which has been good. I've really enjoyed the back and forth to start this Origin.
Mate, Madge's little grenade the other day
has
been so good. Whether you agree, disagree, like, obviously, you can have opinion on it. Everyone does. But surely we can all agree, whether you agree with Madge, don't agree with Madge, whatever, it is perfect for Game 2.
So good. And the big fella, Big Willie Mason, said it perfectly. Like, gone are the days where there's the back and forth and chat that used to from yesteryear, like the golden years in the 90s and early 2000s. They used to talk a little bit of crap about each other. So in a way, we need it from the coaches because the players aren't going to give you too much, and they've set the tone for Game 2 already.
I think, like, as well, I understand coaches. You could see Madge going into this going, like, I want to be a boring coach, and I want to be. It's all about our processes, get the job done. But I think going into Origin, it kind of, the whole situation now proves it just is a different beast. Like, you have to, I personally think, as a coach, just go all the way in with it. Like, all the way into the theatre, all the way into the drama of it. Because week one, Madge and the Blues and Queensland as well, like, it was pretty quiet. Like, there wasn't really that much drama. Harry Grant, he was a bit sick. Like, Waif, there was a Nico Hines situation, but that got sorted within a couple of days.
Yep.
The biggest drama was really Edwards going down with an injury. But in regards to, like, hatred for each other, like, that was all internal, if you know what I'm saying, each team. I think that I really like that Madge has just thrown the grenade in there because it's turned it into a potentially almost folklore-ish Origin series.
Yep.
Because look at 2020. Granted, yes, the team wasn't as good, had reserve grades, all that stuff. But without the comments of saying that it's the worst team in 20 years, does it go down in folklore as much as I don't know whether it does.
Yeah, it's a good point. You're right. And I think because of the respect that Madge and Billy had for each other.
Because he was at Melbourne when Billy was.
Yep. So when he would have coached Billy, and look, again, they've got good relationships, and they're going to go back and forth and use little techniques, coaching techniques, to help their team in the best way they can. But I think for sure it's added to the drama of it, and what it does is it deflects from the players' performance, right? Man. So there's some big potential, stories that could have developed, with Latrell, Spencer situation, right? Reece Walsh answering questions about whether he was targeted for, and although it's all sort of mixed into one, it's now like the coaches have taken all of that for both of their teams, and now we're not getting as much from the players again, which serves the players well. Good coaching from both coaches.
I think Madge is too intelligent. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he believes what he said. Like, I don't think he's definitely not the person to not say what he believes, but I also think he's not so messy that he would just throw that out there. Like, he's professional. Like, there's one thing about Madge is like he is so like almost army style professional, and so I think it's a super smart move by Madge. I think it's super smart. Latrell coming into camp, the headlines wrote themselves every single day. It was going to be about Latrell, everything around Latrell, the whole Spencer Linu situation. And yet now, like, Latrell almost seems like a side note. Like, it's almost been like, yep, Latrell's in. How good? We're business as usual. So I think it was really smart by Madge. As I said, that's not to suggest he is saying something he don't believe, but I also think I give him the credit he deserves, which he's not dumb. He wouldn't just willy-nilly throw a comment out like that, not understanding the impact of the comment. Yeah, and he didn't have to manufacture it, right? No. Like what he's talking about, and if it's with regards to Billy and the way he played the game, and he played it. We talked about this as well, where he definitely pushed the barriers, pushed the lines, changed rules with the way he played. He played aggressively for as good as he was and great as a player was. Billy went hard. Yeah, and he had that dog in him. Billy was a dog, right? So he didn't have to manufacture anything. He legitimately was talking on something. He could be critical of Billy's comments because of the way he played without being derogatory towards him. And that was as simply as he put it. And then that's lit it. And then I found that Billy's been a little bit more prickly this year. You reckon? Than years past. And I don't know, I've been trying to figure that out. Is there externally a little bit more pressure? I think maybe he had to. This is just me thinking out loud as well. I thought maybe they had to be a little bit more diplomatic, because Freddie and Billy were both working together at Nine during that period as well. But it just feels like Billy's got a little bit more. You know what I reckon it is, and I still think he's been so eloquent when he does talk, and mate, when you talk about leadership, like he's up there with the best. Yep. I think it is one of those situations where you get into something, you got nothing to lose, but then when you build a legacy, you've got something to lose. Yeah. So I actually feel like some people feel like, the first series, he would have had the most pressure ever. It's his first series. He hasn't coached before. But actually, as more series go on, I think the pressure gets more because the legacy gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you care more about. And I can only I talk about that from my own experience. I remember when I first got into the podcasting, like I was like, you know what, say whatever you want, do whatever you want. Yeah. And then as you build up a life, and you've got a family, you've got a wife, and you've got, you know the people in the industry, and it's like anything. Like if you know a footy player, you're still going to have the same opinion, but you're going to say it in a much more digestible way than if you've never met the bloke. Yep. I can understand. That's a good comp for it. And so I reckon with Billy, like he's built up a bit of he's 2 series in. He could go 3 in a row. His first 3 ever series coached, he's 3 in a row. And we're not even talking about that. Like, he could win his first. He's literally never coached a match of rugby league before game 1 of Origin 2022. Yeah. And if he was to become available for an NRL head coaching job, you could argue, right? You could argue that if we were to start from scratch, 17 teams are available, pick your coaches. You probably got Wayne and Bellamy that would go 1 and 2. Yeah. And there's an argument that Billy could be around the Trent Robinson, Ivan Cleary, probably Des Hasler, Ricky, that'd probably be next in terms of candidates. Well, for sure, because of his age as well. Yep. Based off what he's done in Origin. Yep. And that's crazy to think. Well, it's because he's Billy Slater as well. Yep. So it's like not only what he's achieved at Origin, but if you bring him to your club, you're almost your recruitment's sorted. You can almost fire the recruitment guy. Obviously, don't do that. But like Billy walks in the room and says, "I want you."
Yeah,
you're going to probably say yes. So, mate, it's just been so entertaining. I love it. As I said, whether you agree or disagree with Madge's comments, it's the fact that because I disagree in regards to, you know, if you've had a playing career and then you have a coach and you make comment, like for example, if you have a playing career and you become an analyst, like you analyse footy,
yep.
If you couldn't speak on all the things that you did, you'd be like, you wouldn't be able to speak on anything. Could you imagine like a gal trying to speak about footy now? But what I do like about it, and I to your point, is he's not just making shit up. Like he's not just going, oh yeah, Billy used to be an on the edge footy player. Like he was on the edge footy player, absolutely. Like he would do anything to win.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love it so much. Although I disagree with the sentiment, I agree with the grenade being thrown. I enjoy it.
Yeah, perfect. Then I can agree to agree.
Okay, now in regards to New South Wales, you're a Queensland man, actually, aren't you?
Queensland.
You're a Queensland man.
Yeah.
Where do you see New South Wales heading into Game 2? Are you worried? Do you believe that because it's Game 2 and Queensland always have in the back of their head, we've got Suncorp around the corner?
Yeah.
What do you reckon for New South Wales?
Yeah.
Are you happy with where they're at, or are you a bit worried?
I like this team so much better than Game 1
Yep.
To begin with. When we were breaking down the teams, rolling into it, a lot of these guys, I was always the Latrell Mitchell guy. He was like, there are a few people over the years, I think when it comes to Origin, despite, you know, whatever's happening at club level, I think, you know, they should be locks to be picked. And in that position too, right? Like he doesn't have the workload that he has to do at South Sydney. So for a big one was Latrell. I always had my perfect halves pairing was Mitch Moses and Nathan Cleary. Now, they weren't available for Game 1, so obviously Mitch coming into the team.
Would it be Mitch at 6 or Cleary at 6?
Mitch at 6.
Okay.
Mitch at 6.
Yep.
Because I still want it to be Nathan's team.
Yep.
And Mitch has got experience playing 6 before. Started off as a 6 at the Tigers, right? And he sort of more plays like a 6 anyway. And the other selection that I liked, I think that was it to begin with. Obviously, Cam Murray's another big in.
Watson?
Connor Watson, I heard I'm so pumped for Connor.
Yeah.
I was always a big Matty Burton guy
Yep.
on the bench. I wanted versatility. He was the guy I wanted for Game 1 and Game 2. But I can understand the Connor Watson selection. And again, going back to what you said at the start of the show, he's one of those guys when you meet him away from content or you do content with him, you just wish him the best. So if I'm on the fence with players and I'm like, Matty Burton, Connor Watson, he gets selected, I'm like, go Connor.
Because, you know him. It's only natural.
That's only natural, right? So would I be Matty Burton? Would that be my selection? Yes. But I can understand the Connor Watson one.
Burton was in my Game 1 side.
Yep.
But Connor Watson was in my, if everyone's injury-free, he was in my side as the 14.
Yeah, okay.
Just because, for me, he just covers too many positions. Like, he can literally play anywhere from 6 all the way through, you know, he's even come on the field at times at front row. Like, he can cover pretty much 9, 6, 7 if you had to. He could play 13 as well. He's playing outstanding footy. With Burton, although I actually had him in my initial starting side. So when Hines had that game against Penrith, so initially it was Hines Luai for me, if I recall correctly. No, sorry. It was Hines Burton, and then Luai came out and killed it.
Yeah.
Penrith Sharks game.
His calf.
Yeah, and then it was actually Luai Burton. And so Burton was actually my starting 6 initially because of his boot. I felt like his boot, long boot, was something that New South Wales really needed, and it did come true. They really did
come
need
to fruition, didn't it?
And so Burton for me, although I would have had him in my initial side, I probably wouldn't have had him at 14 just because it's kind of like he can play centre 6 or 7. If Watson isn't available, then I go Burton.
Yep.
But if Watson's available, I go Connor Watson.
Yep. That's understandable.
Especially with Latrell in the side, because Latrell can play fullback, wing, centre, and 6.
And Stephen Crichton's heaps versatile as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, like, you could put Trell in the middle if you had to.
Yeah.
Like you reckon you can get 20 minutes of the best with Big Trelly Mitt in the middle?
Yeah, easy.
And so that's why Connor Watson was always my number 14, just because I'm a big believer. For example, I thought Reece Robson played a really good game one, but I feel like with Reece Robson, because he is a big nuggety body, he's not necessarily like a crafty 9. So his energy levels for 80 minutes, if you don't give him a break, he's going to have to conserve energy to be good in defence.
Yep.
And I felt like because he was playing 80 on the weekend, a few weeks ago, granted, I understand there was a player down, so I get it. But I felt like, even though I thought he was outstanding, I actually thought he was New South Wales best.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're conserving energy, you got no running game from him, really.
Yeah.
Because
it was
he has
pass, stand, deliver, and
stand,
tackle.
deliver.
That was his role.
Whereas what I like with Connor Watson coming in the side, you can give Reece Robson a rest and go, mate, just give us fucking 25 or 30 of the best. And you get Connor out there, and you just go, then you say to Connor, mate, give us, 20, 30 of the best.
Yeah.
And that means,
even they can play lock, like they can swap and interchange on together as well.
Absolutely. And also, then that means that because Madge is trying to be pretty much about the ruck, really. Madge is just trying to roll through the middle with big bodies coming out of his own end. And so if you have a 1-2 punch of Robson, Connor Watson, the speed of the ruck is just going to be you'll just be churning through the middle. It'll be almost impossible to stop. So I really like the selection of Connor Watson on the bench. Even though I feel like, here's a good question. If Bulldogs become a premiership side, which they're fucking looking like on trajectory at least.
Crazy to think that they're on that trajectory.
I do think that lends more strength to guys like Burton getting selected in key positions. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so some people that may feel, oh, look, if Burton can't get a crack now, he's never going to get a crack. I do feel like there's a world where Bulldogs push into that top 4 and he's the guy, 6, leading them around. He actually could be the long-term 6 with Cleary because of his age and also because he's leading a team in the top tier.
Yep.
I do feel like it hurts Burton a bit, the fact that the doggy struggled so much last year.
Yep.
So I reckon Burton will be back. I really do. I reckon he'll be back. I reckon that he's just got a unique set of skills that very hard to replicate.
Do you think he's a victim as well? Also, do you reckon he would have been a part of had Keary's spot if not for being out of camp for so long and having that 18th man role and not playing? He's had that 3 times now for the Blues.
As in, do you reckon he'd be in camp right now for Keary?
For Keary,
yeah,
in the Keary spot, and being that cover. But because for the Bulldogs have missed out on having him now on three occasions, they're the Bulldogs are having a good year.
Yep.
It's an important game against the Roosters. Rather than keeping this guy as 18th man, that's what I reckon. That was my feeling with it. And just before we quickly move off New South Wales and Latrell, the one big thing that I see written all the time is people questioning Latrell defensively, and they're going to target him, right? And probably, to a degree, that's going to happen. Billy will have a bit of a game plan to send a lot of traffic their way. Good luck to whoever he sends that way.
Hey, look, the first 20 minutes of each half targeting him, you're getting absolutely fucking flat.
You're going to get licked.
Yeah.
Right? So it might be a part of the game plan. And Jeremiah Nanai is a really good ball runner, and he caused some havoc on that first try to begin with, right? In between, one of the best defensive centres. So
you're going to move Critter to that side and keep him there?
So.
Sure.
I think
he should have been there from the start.
I play Latrell left and Critter on the right.
Yeah.
Because the one's got a left-footed kick and the other one's got a right-footed kick. So I think if they want a 2-pass shift, they can roll it in behind as well. But like I said, everyone's game plan for Queensland, which is fine when you put it on paper. Yeah. And Jeremiah, like I said, Jeremiah is a big guy, and I think who was right? Was it Hammer or Val? Val was right.
Val was right.
Attack Latrell, work him over, create a quick play the ball, and then we'll maybe go to the other side or keep rolling. Yeah, sweet. All right, good luck. Go and do it. I played back row. If I see that in the game plan, I'm like, all right, sweet. I've still got to be the one that gets licked by Latrell once. Yeah. He might get tired.
Yeah.
That might happen.
Honestly, you might see Nanai run out with shoulder pads.
But there's a world in which he played left centre a couple of years ago and went against his South Sydney teammate Dane Gagai and absolutely manhandled Gags, who is just built for Origin and is as strong as they come. So that's my last little bit on Latrell. I think the perceived game plan around targeting him.
I think that when I say target, I'm not sure it's about target, but what I think is, I think Billy's going to ask questions early, get answers early, and then adjust accordingly. So, for example, I think you will see some early ball down his edge. See how rusty is his decision making at centre. How rusty is his lateral movement. Now, I think that he'll answer those questions pretty resoundingly.
Yep.
But I think that if it does, I guess, if the first few times they go down there, they realise, okay, he is a bit hesitant here. Like, he actually hasn't played centre for 3 years now.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Probably the last Origin series, right? That 2021 series
So
would be the last.
you're looking at 3 years. So I reckon Billy's going to go, okay, let's organise some plays for him. Let's get Reece Walsh just absolutely tearing out the back and see how hesitant he is to make decisions. And that, I think, will dictate the game plan from Billy. If he goes, oh, fuck, we're getting Risoldi here, I think you'll
Switch
see
it
him.
up.
Yeah, he'll just go straight away from there. Because you'd be crazy not to see, like, Latrell, although at centre, he's the best centre in the world, and I think it's actually daylight between him and second.
Yep.
He's still a human being. Like, he has not played there for 3 years.
End of 2022 for Australia at the World Cup.
Okay, yeah, there you go. And he was decent in that too, wasn't he? Like,
So-
you think back to that series, right? Go back to 2021 in those first couple of games.
so
He was
good.
close to man of the match, and yeah, he did some mad stuff with the ball. But I just keep thinking about, like, wedging in, jamming people early, getting in the faces of, I think Kalen was playing fullback at that time, made some strong decisions, took an intercept or maybe two where they try to lob it over the top. I think very quickly they're going to realise they're not going to have joy there.
Do you consider moving Luai to Trell's side? Because in that 2021, he was with Trell and Tyre.
Yeah. So Jerome already is on that side. He's left side with him already. Yeah. Nico was on the right, remember?
I thinking about?
And Mitch will come straight into the
Oh,
right
apologies.
side.
I'm thinking of Queensland attacking in.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So he'll have. He's got one.
Yep.
He's got a relationship with
Mate, Jerome Luai and Latrell, like, their partnership in 21 was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So like I said, I'm leaning towards New South Wales. I think New South Wales is going to win this game and going to make for a compelling decider, because I think, everyone thinks they're going to target Latrell. Yeah, sweet. Like I said, good game plan. We'll see what happens defensively. But equally, I've got my question marks in and around that right edge as well with Jeremiah Nanai, Ches, where they've had some joy in the past as well. Angus Crichton and Latrell are coming back. So sometimes when you spot a player like Latrell, it's not necessarily about tiring him out as well, or finding like acting like attempting to make breaks and score tries. You want to tire out their most dangerous offensive player as well. And that goes the other way with Ches.
Yep.
Ches is the guy. He's clearly the guy running the team. So you need to send as much traffic at him as possible so he tires out and he's not effective with the ball on the flip side.
Yep. I think it's going to be interesting because Val Holmes defensively has been not great this year. Like, genuinely not great. And I don't think Billy will do this. I think it'd be almost too reactionary. You're almost sending a message that you're scared. But I'm surely he's thought, do you put Hammer on Trell because he's done a job on Tommy before?
Yeah.
Because Val, as I said, Val defensively this year has been, like, really poor. Like, Val's such a hard guy to talk about this season.
Yeah.
Because you look at his stats and you go, oh, he's still ripping and tearing. But when you actually watch the games, like, he does have a few errors in his game. He does have some reads where it isn't the best. He's almost had a bit of an off year.
He's been rocks and diamonds this year heavily.
So
because he's got such a high standard that he's
so
set,
good.
right? And I can understand that. I reckon that might be an in-game decision.
To see how it's
it
going.
might be. I understand where you're going with that. It could be start Val. If for whatever reason it's going pear-shaped, then flip. And that's crazy to think that Hammer is the more defensively sound centre. But in only a short space,
Here's a stat for you.
I'd agree with it.
67 tackles in Origin, 2 missed.
Yeah. And that's without even looking at the stats. That's the eye test. That's what I feel like when I've watched Hammer. And he's, for me, he's arguably one of the best outside backs in the competition if you start from scratch.
He's 22, 23 years old. He's already scored 8 tries, 5 Origin games. He is already had like multiple highlight moments in Origin. It is truly astounding. He's the guy that just, whatever the level is, he just goes, okay, I'll just take a little step further. Like, I'll just be a little bit better. Funnily enough, I think it was, I'd have to confirm this, but I was actually looking it up the other day. He was actually fullback, and Reece Walsh was number 14 for the under-18 Queensland side.
When they were coming through the grades.
That shows you how good Hammer is.
Yeah.
That he was keeping a guy like Reece Walsh at 14. Now, granted, like, many years ago, things changed, like, whatever. But it shows you, like, where he's at in regards to he's always been the man.
His potential.
He's always been the man.
Yeah.
In regards to New South Wales side, okay, so what do you think of the fact that he's got Isaiah Yeo, Cam Murray, and Jake Trbojevic and Connor Watson in his side, which essentially is 4 13s?
Yeah. there's got to be a clear indication of who the guy is. And what I mean by that is, like, if there is going to be some ball playing to be done, obviously Jakey's not going to be that guy anymore. He's that's evident. Rower. He's a front rower. Connor, I think he's a jack of all trades. He's going to be asked to do a number of different things, but probably ball playing isn't it as well. I want 80% of it to be done off Cam Murray, and I want him to be playing big minutes as well for New South Wales. Yoey, if you come on, front row. I would have
started Yo on the front row, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that if you simplify Yo's game plan and just say, mate, I just need to get post-contact meters and find it front, he's actually one of the best. He's not as quick as Cam Murray, but if you actually closely watch Yo, he very rarely loses that first contact because he always has the ball in two hands. He's always showing, someone with him.
So 2019 Under-18s Origin, Hamiso was the fullback and Reece Walsh was 14.
14.
Yeah, there you go.
Mental. As I said, granted, many, many years ago, Reece Walsh has improved dramatically, but that's actually fucking mental. Okay, before we move on though, what has been the McSmart decision for New South Wales?
Ooh, McSmart decision. I'll go back to the Latrell for a different reason. We're talking about Hamiso. Because in my opinion, I think Latrell is going to play left centre. The best defensive option for New South Wales is Critter going to the right to mark up on Hammer.
Yep.
I think that's a really good matchup that, everyone's going to be talking about perceived weaknesses or strengths of Latrell. All the focus has sort of gone away from what's happening on the other side, which will be just as an enticing battle. Stephen Crichton has been probably the best option defensively for New South Wales for the last couple of years. Now he goes on the best attacking weapon for Queensland.
Yeah.
So I think they cancel each other out.
It isn't really being we've been so focused on Trell and what he can do in an Origin game, and we haven't really spoken much about the guy that literally scored 3 tries last game up against Stephen Crichton, who is known as essentially the best defensive centre in the competition. That battle is going to be insane. Now, you got to make the McSmart decision. You go the McSmart meal. It's a small soft drink, It's a small fries, and it's a choice of 2 small burgers for $7.95. Absolute joke. Sorry, $6.95. See,
even better.
That's even better. That's crazy. That's craziness. My brain couldn't even process how good that deal is.
It feels like it's unders too much. That's why.
Oh man, it's all right. Another McSmart decision, in my opinion. It is Connor Watson at 14. I think that he is made for Origin. I think his form this year has been outstanding. His versatility, but also I think in the modern era of just how fast the ruck is, he's the perfect guy to bring on. Like if you bring him on through the middle, he's just going to terrorise defence. He's going to be super hard, especially when if you bring him on at the same time around that Spencer Lena comes on, that 1-2 punch, it'll be almost impossible to stop. And so that's my McSmart decision. Look, life can get a little bit silly, but it's always smart grabbing a feed at Maccas. If you're going to make a decision, make it McSmart. Okay, let's get to Queensland, shall we? The Queensland decision of Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah.
Not to get selected. So I've actually heard quite a few different, not opinions, but quotes from like Darren Lockyer, from Billy Slater. Billy Slater was a mixture of things. There's things he wants to work on in his game. Then he's also got, he's been taking painkilling injections. So, is it injury, not injury? But then Darren Lockyer kind of said, it seemed to allude that even Selwyn, it said that Selwyn was the guy that was saying pretty much that it's a lot for me right now and I'm getting painkilling injections and so I'll get the quote up in a second. But first of all, what are your thoughts about Selwyn Cobbo being dropped after game?
Well, that makes sense then because I've been trying to figure it out. And if that's the case, it feels like it's the one thing that I've sort of heard from Billy Slater in the last couple of years, which hasn't been like the way he presents and what is actual reality, Kempy, and you know this better than anyone, is chalk and cheese when they do these media presses, right? They want to keep some stuff internally. They want to let you project and let you know what is the reasons behind some of the stuff they do, but a lot of the stuff they want to keep in-house.
Yep.
The way I've seen Billy explain the Cobbo situation is I feel like there's uncertainty around it. That's the feeling I get from it. So if that's the case with the Darren Lockyer quote where, it's got to him where he's going, man, I'm playing busted. I might let the state down. you know, do you want to make a decision and go somewhere else? One, it shows a lot of maturity from Selwyn, if that is the case.
Yeah.
And second of all, I can understand why it feels like Billy's been jumbling his words talking about it.
Trying to protect
be
him,
honest.
really.
Yeah.
Because Billy probably knows, you know, like I think Darren Lockett coming out and saying something is a little bit different because he's at the Broncos club. Like he's a director there. And so he probably has a close relationship. Whereas Billy probably doesn't know, like, you know, how much do I say to protect the kid? Like, if I come out and say he didn't want to be part of Origin, the headlines are fucking, they write themselves.
Yep.
Okay, so this was the quote from Darren Lockyer, and he told the Queenslander podcast on Channel 9. The decision in the end was pretty easy. I congratulate Selwyn for being open and honest about it. He's carrying a few niggles at the moment, and I think it's affecting him mentally. He was pretty open and honest with Billy about whether he was capable of performing in that arena, and there is nowhere to hide in Origin. He's young, and it's not like it's over. He'll be back in maroon jersey at some point, but now is just not the right time to push him physically and mentally. Given we're 1-up in the series, that's a bit of luxury that Billy has got. It's a big decision, but at the same time, it's the right one. The move to not carry a back in reserve certainly backfired on the Blues in Game 1, but Slater is a damn... Oh, this is actually the journalist writing this.
Yep.
So that suggests to me that, yes, it's Selwyn probably saying to him, look, I'm not all there mentally, which is ironic because... You know, that was Latrell probably 6 weeks ago saying so much has happened at Clubland that I probably need to focus on that. I know it's different reasons, but it's just about being honest about where your mental state is.
Yep.
And it's taken Trell to come out, you know, get things back on track, play some really good footy and say, nah, I'm fucking all in, let's go.
Yep.
Because I feel like it doesn't get enough... people go, oh, come on, you got to play for your state. But I don't think people... There's a difference between wanting to play for your state and then also understanding that you may not be in the right headspace to give your all for the state. And I think that's where Selwyn Cobbo's probably coming from, is just like, right now I've got so much going on, it's a lot for me. And Billy's probably said, well, if it's too much for you, mate, you need to, you know, take your week off, you know, get your body right and come back and play a bit of footy when you get back.
Well, look at New South Wales, Game 1. Now, extreme circumstances, and who knows if it would have been any different. But you could argue the Nico Hines situation was very similar. Like, Nico cleared all the protocols, was sweet. His calf got the tick of approval, but there's no way. He was carrying that injury for a couple of weeks. The urge to play for New South Wales, like those are tough decisions, and I'm not begrudging Nico for doing it as well, right? Like if I ever got the opportunity to play at that level, for me it's country, not Origin, but man, I'd lie. Like
whatever to do it.
I'd play the test because I'd go, like, even if I tweaked it right at captain's run, I'd go, no one's finding out about that. I'm representing the jersey, right? So I can understand why doing it. But if you're Selwyn, maybe you look at it and go, who knows with Nico? Like, I hope he gets the opportunity to push for a jersey again. But a lot of people have made their mind up on him, for better or worse. So maybe Selwyn's looked over specifically at Nico and gone, man, I'm carrying injuries here. If I'm the reason we lose Game 2 because I'm supposed to be the X factor or Mr. Fix-It off the bench and I can't fix it because I'm banged up, then that makes more sense than anything that I've heard this week, because there was a part of me watching Billy talk about it where I'm like, someone's been dropped. That was my initial thought.
That's what I thought too. I thought that, because like when you watch Game 1, when he got on the field, he was a bit like, you know, obviously in attack, like he fucking killed it. But if you watch him in defence, he actually was a bit lost. Like you could see him, there were short runners and the short runners would like hit on his inside shoulder. He'd look up and realise that he's made the wrong read. And he would literally just stop. Like he would just stop. He would start walking. And he even said in the match, post-match interview, he said, when I first got out there first half, it was hard to get my bearings. In the second half, he felt more comfortable. So, like, I think good on Selwyn for being so honest about it. I really do. And I know some people go, oh, come on, you should want to play for your state, like, at all times and all that. But it's like, look, I get the romanticisation of that mentality. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's more brave to be honest and say, I'm actually not going to be the best person for my state than it is to just go, nah, I'm all in no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, how many times, even at club, how many times have you been like, so the club will like push you to play if you're injured or whatever, but the senior players will pull you up and say, mate, you do realise if you cross that white line, it doesn't matter if you've got a fucking broken arm or broken leg, you'll be judged just as harshly as if you're 100% fit. So if you're not 100% fit and you can't give your all, you shouldn't be playing.
Yeah. No, like, and you don't even need the senior boys to pull you up on that. That's just like, it's like a badge of honour to play hurt as well. So you got to be smart about it. But there are occasions where, you know, like, as a player, you want it taken out of your hands. Like you want the physio. I've been a couple of times where I've played injured, haven't had my best game, and there will be other times where I'm like, I'm going to play, and you need the physio to speak on behalf of you and just be like, nah, sit this one out. And then you might rant and, come on, I want to play. But deep down, like, I wasn't good to go.
Yep.
So it takes the decision away from you. And this is a huge decision. They do have the luxury, like Darren said. They're going to game 2.
What are your thoughts on the fact that he wasn't replaced for a like for like? He didn't bring Dangago on at 17.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I thought it was it works obviously so well, and for all the stats that Billy threw out after the game with regards to not finishing 5 out of the last 6 games with an outside back.
I think it was like 4 out of 6.
4 out of 6, yeah. I found that quite strange because Kurt Capewell has been banged up himself the last couple of years, missed a lot of footy. Form line, what you get with Kurt and Dane, that they can handle the arena, they can handle any situation, so they've both got that versatility. I probably would have gone Dane Gagai personally. Again, he would have been a guy that I reckon you can play Gags front row in an Origin and he'll do a job.
Origin Gags, baby.
Origin Gags.
Mate, you chuck him in a fucking 7, he'd do something.
Yeah. So and then at worst, he doesn't come on for a back. Either chuck him in the middle at lock or back row and move one of your edge back rowers. Like a Jaden Stewart can go to the middle with Gags playing like a left edge back row sort of role. So that's what I would have gone. But Kurt's been there, done that. It's one of those ones. It's like the Connor, Matty Burton. Yeah, you can be swayed either way, but I don't think it's a crazy decision either way.
I think that, with Billy Slater's selections, it seems like his number one priority is a competitor. Like, genuinely, I reckon if he had a list of who he selects, it's like competitors at number one. I reckon that's his highest priority because Kurt Capewell, he started the year off really well, been injured, been back a couple of weeks, hasn't been great. But there's one thing that Curty Capewell, it's probably his best asset, better than, defensively, he actually misses a fair few tackles, but his scramble defense, in my opinion, some of the best in the competition. His ability, whenever there's a break on the other side or whenever you need that 1% play, that's what Kurt Capewell does. And I think that's why he's been selected, because he's just an out-and-out competitor. I think also I find it interesting is I reckon that Billy in the first game probably thought, you know what, the chances of winning in New South Wales are pretty low. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go all-out attack. When you look at his bench, you've got Hopgood and you had Selwyn Cobbo.
Yep.
Hopgood, crazy offloader, has a million runs. Look at his bench at the moment. It's Kofusi and Capewell. What are they both better at? Their defence is their asset.
Yeah, true.
And so I reckon Billy's gone for a more defensive bench and almost hope to defend his way to victory in Melbourne. Because I do think there is a substantial different bench to game 1. Hopgood is nothing like Kofusi. And obviously, Capewell is nothing like Selwyn.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a different game plan from Billy. Because I was genuinely shocked.
Yeah, I like that. I think that makes sense. It's almost like when they're playing soccer, football, get to 1-0, park the bus.
Yeah, park the bus.
Defend your way to a win.
Yeah.
And then if it goes to extra time, maybe you've got that striker on the bench that you bring off the bench that can score you some goals. And then maybe game 3, we see a more attacking team. Again, and another decision, skip straight over David Fafita again. Now that's that could have been another option. He must have, whatever he's done in the off-season or at the start of the year, some of the stuff that you don't see that doesn't show up in the 200 metres for 20 carries sort of stats.
Yeah.
There must be something missing from his game because he's another guy. Yeah, he doesn't cover all those positions, but
he's a game breaker.
He's a game breaker, and he's, to your point, you play David if you're chasing points, not defending points.
No, well, he's okay defender, but it's not necessarily his strength. So I would love to know if that is a decision by Billy because although Billy's been quite strong on saying I believe in Kurt Capewell, he can be a utility, he can play in the centres, it still is a world away from an actual outside back on the bench. It still is just different. So it just suggests to me that it's a different game plan.
Yeah.
I reckon it's just a different game plan. He's going down to Melbourne to defend his way to victory.
I like it.
Kofusi, when he came on in game 1, I thought he was so... his defence is he's probably the best edge defender in the competition.
Yeah. I can see a world in which he spends a lot of time with Ches. If it's, again, you got Billy planning for every situation. If
Well, him on Trell, or
Yeah.
at least the communication with Ches,
Yes.
is going to help a lot.
Angus Crichton as well was in career best form.
Oh,
Those
fuck.
two on the left edge.
Is he made out of something different, Crichton?
What about? Do you reckon he's playing better than he's ever played before this year?
Mate, it's close. It's honestly close. Like,
And he was outstanding in Origin 1 too, in a beaten team
you
with
know
12
those
men.
players that you play, and when you tackle them, they feel like they're made of something different. Like Petro Sivanasivi, that everyone used to say, like,
Yeah,
when
granite.
you tackled him, is like granite. Mate, Angus Crichton, when he always, that initial contact where you go, oh, he's about to get dominated, he always wins it.
Yeah.
Always wins it.
Yeah.
He's always got the bumper bars up, just elbows and knees everywhere.
He's going to be a problem.
Oh,
he's going to be
man.
a problem. I reckon he's in for a big game too. He's my guy to watch out for New South Wales.
So I wonder whether Kafusi is there, not only because he was good on game one, but also, again, they may ask questions of that left side of New South Wales,
Yeah.
Queensland's right, and depending on how because that side's going to be the attacking side, I'd say,
Yep.
for New South Wales. I
Yep.
think they're going to be, depending on
it's
how
going to
it
be the
goes.
attacking side for both sides because
Yeah.
of the perceived weaknesses defensively around Latrell,
Yeah.
but also like he's the guy. So
Yeah.
it's going to be on.
Trying to think which side is, and Walsh sweeps mostly left side. Okay, so it's the other side.
No, he likes both. He's pretty versatile.
Hey?
Like he likes.
I was going to say last year, Walsh loved the combination with Cobbo on the right.
Yeah,
On the
and he's
right.
hit Dean Mariner. Dean Mariner's the top try scorer for the Broncos on the right hand
Yeah.
side as well this year. So
I'm just trying to think of his recent game. He made like 3 line breaks on the left side
against the Titans,
against the Titans.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that right side, shit. That is a fucking...
like he's one of those guys. I think KP is dominant and on the left.
Yeah.
I reckon Drinky's better on the right, and I reckon Walshy's equally as they're the three best for me. I reckon, and I reckon Walshy's as dangerous on either side.
Could
which
you
makes
get
him,
up try scored on that page that, that page you can go to? You can see where they've scored their most points for with Broncos. I'd love to know. I mean, it'd be probably Dean Mariner because he's their leading try scorer, but Reece Walsh hasn't really played in those.
Jesse Arthurs was scoring heaps at the start of the year
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I'd
Oatsy
love to
scored
know.
a couple.
It's interesting to see just how dominant some sides are.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you just go,
Yeah.
holy shit. So
What do you got?
So Broncos is 42%. Yeah, mostly dominant left. So 42% on the left, 35 on the right, 23 in the middle.
So he's more on the left.
7% more.
Broncos are, yeah.
So it is the left side.
Yep.
Far out. You know what? It shows you how fucking good he is that used to's thought, and rightly so, I was close, thought right, and I thought left. Whereas, like, for example, other teams you can go, it's
South Sydney and Knights left, and you know it's left.
wow, that's how.
Yeah.
It's not that much of a difference, so it's only 7%. Far out.
It's quite significant. 7% is a big number.
Yeah, okay.
Like it's what's that? An extra maybe try a game probably
Yeah.
would probably equate to about a try a game. You reckon?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Wow, that's interesting.
Just going off the eye test here, it looks like they're like about the 6th best team for the left side. So they're up there. They're right up there.
They're up there, but at the same time, it's not like they're so dominant on that
The reason
side.
it
Yeah.
stands out for me for Walshy on the right is because not as many are good at it. So for
because
him,
it's a left to right pass.
for him to ice it, most naturally, like Littrell, like Kalen, a lot of footy players have always, a lot of shapes always gone right to left.
Yeah, yeah.
And because he nails it so much, it makes me think that he's more balanced than
Yep.
anyone else. But again, can't argue with the stats. He's equally as good at all, if not better
So
on the
good.
left.
He's so good. So going to be, I can't wait to see him. Just because that's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I understand. New South Wales. Obviously, I'd be more disappointed if I was New South Wales because you lost him in. We also didn't get to see Walshy back in Origin for 80 minutes. Like we get to see that hopefully in game 2. So look, Queensland. I think it's going to be a different game plan. I think it's going to be very defensively minded game plan. I actually think they probably won't throw the ball around as much as they did game 1. I thought game 1, they actually didn't play that well. They were actually, so I think Billy's probably going to try to Billy the kid. He's not a reel it in kind of guy. Like he's just attack from anywhere. But I do think he might just a little bit just go, you know what, boys, let's just get through our sets and try and get a high completion rate
See if they crumble under
and see
pressure.
if they crumble under the pressure because they're the ones chasing the win.
Yep.
So I cannot wait. I seriously cannot wait. Anything else on the Queensland side?
No, that's it. That's most of it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty incredible how. Do you reckon it's going to be DCE's last Origin series? If that, put it this way, if they win, I reckon DCE should go. Thanks for coming, mate. What a way to because if they lose next year, 3 in a row. Thanks for coming. And I don't think ability wise that he should retire at all. He looks literally better than ever.
No.
He's arguably, I think he's playing the best footy he's ever played.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for, like, legacy, I'm going 3 in a row. Oh, get out while the going's good.
I had a chat to him. I caught up with him at Magic Round. I just get the feeling like he's not going to do that. He's going to have to be told by Billy, like, you're not required.
Okay.
And like, that might be a tough decision. It could be an easy one. It could be a hard one for Billy down the road. But I just think he loves representing his state too much.
Okay.
I think he loves representing Manly too much. Like, because he loves footy, mate. Like, for as much, for everything that he's done in the game to where he is now, like, he's as happy as I've ever seen him.
Yeah, wow.
So I think it's going to be, someone's going to have a tough conversation with him.
Tap on the shoulder and say, mate,
you're
done skis.
I could be wrong. That's just the feeling I got from him.
Yep.
And like I said, the way you view him is the way he feels internally. Like, he feels like he's in a really good place. He feels like he's got really good balance. It's more like footy life balance that he's figured out in the last couple of years.
I said on the Monday show, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic, I could be wrong, he's the best game manager since Cameron Smith, in my opinion. That's high praise, very high praise. Mate, like, I understand the Panthers are the top dogs right now, but, like, just watching on the weekend, they got no people on the bench. His ability to just go, all right, I'm just going to control the entire tempo of this game. And then also, you're watching Origin, like, when they played game 1, like, they really didn't play that well, but he just constantly made the exactly right decision for what they were dealing with in that moment. You know, like, just
the one part for me that showed like he's got that dog in him too was when Nico just missed the 40-20 and the very next set he hits a 40-20 on him. There's like a little bit of...
That's a competitive edge.
That's a competitive, I'm the big dog.
Yep.
This is my arena. I've won 2 series in a row.
It is his arena
I'm
too.
so comfortable where I am right now.
Yeah.
Like, whether he might have gone for the 40-20, who knows? Like, I haven't spoken to him about it. There's just me knowing his personality and knowing what he's like, a little... You tried this?
Yeah.
Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, let me show you how it's
done. And that's the levels. And that's where I think you're talking about, like, where he's at now. And again, I go back to at the start of his career, he always had a lot of head noise around performances and fitting in and all that sort of stuff. He's so confident. He's where he's at right now as the skipper and of both the Queensland team and Manly team.
His kicking game, it is seriously, and as I said, his decision making. He makes the right decision 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And whenever there's a bit of pressure building, and you know, you watch it at Clubland, but you watch it at Origin the last 2 series and now 3 series. Like, every time there's pressure mounting, he will make the right call, and he might have 10 bad options, but he'll pick the best bad option out of all the bad. Like, his game management is absolutely incredible. Like,
and the last little thing too, I always had my doubts on like him at that level to a degree because he'd always had such a good team. When he did that decider with Tom Dearden, and he was close to man of the match in that game, and then obviously without any money in game 1, and he still had a man of the match performance. Any like question marks in and around like whether it's his team, he's answered in the last couple of years.
Like, he's getting close to like Queensland legend.
Yeah,
with his legacy.
Yeah,
you know, what is it? It's 2000. So basically, since 2020, they've won 3 or 4
series. Yeah,
like, far out. That's bloody good. 3 of the 4 series,
and he's got a 1-0 lead to go. And like you said, if this is his swan song, what a way to go out.
Oh, mate, because he could go what? He could go
4 from 5
in an era where it was supposed to be New South Wales that were just about to go on this crazy era. Like, when 18-19 happened, it was supposed to be the new era. Like, this is going to be the dominant period for New South Wales. Even 2021, when that happened, it was like, okay, now it starts. And he's just gone, nah.
They got us one last year, but that was just a random Wayne Bennett genius move. But now it's back to normality. They've won 2 in a row and they're looking at 3.
Unbelievable. So I love it all. I love the theatre. I love the back and forth, the yarns in the papers, and like comments from coaches. And
so good.
It's the best. This is what makes Origin great. Whether you agree or disagree, that's irrelevant. The relevant point is Origin is the pinnacle of Australian sport. You know what? Just quickly before we move off, and a part of building out my show for Levels is I go on the YouTube comments and get questions, and that's one thing I've used for, because you get the feeling from, it's like you got the bloke, the people that built. I remember I seen a clip of you speaking about, or maybe it was on radio the other day, about how you've built up bloke and never forgetting the people that put you there. So I look at people's comments all the time and get a gauge on like how I'm going to pick, like sort of go through my show. Geez, people get nasty around Origin, like way worse than any like
really derogatory towards
Yeah,
each other.
yeah,
Like,
mate.
there's so much fashion, and I've always like known it. But like, if your job is to look at comments on social media,
Not on Origin time.
you'd be sometimes I'm like, man, people really like go on our level stuff and look at some of the comments around the Suoliti shit. People get so fucking nasty with
Mate,
each other. I'm like, surely you can't be that angry at some guy you don't know on the internet over his take on
His opinion on it. Yeah, it's made. I tell you what, it's funny because we've spoken about that. Like around Origin, like it gets like brutal, like genuinely ad hominem insults, and it's like, bro, like it's just an opinion. My opinion weighs no more than your opinion.
Yeah.
Like we're all just people with opinions, and there's no ulterior motive here. Like it's literally just this is the way
They're
I
like,
think of
no,
it.
fuck you. You get your opinion every week. This is my time to get my opinion, and mine's heaps better than yours.
But the beautiful, as I said, the beautiful thing is, and Matty said this. He said, "Man, if you ever thought Origin's going to die, like
No.
all of that, although it sometimes doesn't come out in the best way, all it really is passion. Like
Yeah.
all it really is, and that's why after it, we come up with a theory: 48-hour salty bitch period. You're allowed to say, whatever you want,
Yeah, that's good.
and it can't be held against you.
Yeah.
But after that 48-hour period,
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like how many times, and I'm super guilty of this. I'll be watching a game. And I am furious. Like I'm looking at that player going, "You get back to reserve grade." And I have 48 hours to just sit back and think and relax. And I always calm down and go, "Okay, you're carrying on here."
Yeah.
So I reckon it should be a 48-hour salty bitch period. You're allowed to just go as hard as you want within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
And all those comments will not be held against you. But if anything after 48 hours,
Yeah.
that is your...
Get your head on. Get your head straight.
Get your head straight. Look, if you still feel
Yeah.
that way, fair enough. That's fine.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's the passion. Like anytime I'm feeling like, Jesus, like that guy just insulted the shit out of me, I'm like, look, it's just Origin. It's just Origin. Like,
It is, yeah. Yeah.
it's the best. It's the best. But yeah, like my point on that clip was actually on Woodsy's show.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was on Woodsy's show.
That's where I seen it.
And the point I was making was it frustrates me when creators get to a certain point and go, I don't owe anyone anything. Like, I come in here and work. It's like, no, actually, you do owe your audience everything, literally everything.
Yeah.
And it's just your ego not wanting to owe anyone anything that has put you've convinced yourself. It's like, mate, it's not like you got into a media platform and you were selected by someone to get that spot. This is with podcasting, person by person. Every single person that has chosen to listen to you has put you in that position. They have made the choice to say, you know what, I'm going to give you my time and money. So you do owe them something. They are absolutely owed the respect of you giving them high quality content.
We literally make money out of them. That little number that comes up on our screen that views our content, we use to go back to sponsors and go, this is the people watching us.
Yeah.
Like, we're probably so unique. Like you said, even outside of probably TV, where it's a little bit different in radio, where you don't get to see it. Like, I'd literally go and go, hey guys, here's our numbers.
Yeah.
Would you like to sponsor our show off the back of people watching it? So 100%.
Always owe your
I love
audience.
that. I love what you said about
Always owe your audience. Okay, let's get into some big chat in regards to, NRL season. Actually, I don't want to load this question. I'll give my opinion.
Okay.
Thoughts on the NRL season?
Or you didn't want to give your opinion first?
Because I was going to load the question with something. And so anyway, you just give your thoughts and I'll give my thoughts.
There's a part of me, I'm conflicted with it because I'm trying to figure out if the season is up for grabs like I think it is, or it's all a mirage and just Nathan Cleary's out.
Oh, more from the perspective of rugby league with where it's at.
Oh, great.
Season so far.
Yeah,
How's
I'm
it
happy.
been for you?
Yeah, good. Same as I think the game's getting stronger and stronger. If you're looking at some of the other sports, specifically rugby union and the place where we're at right now, if you look at another good indicator is people in our industry, like podcasting, blowing up, and then there are different podcasts now that are growing and looking at where we're at compared to. I was having a conversation with someone about this at the golf day a couple of days ago, and the creatives around AFL, which maybe I'm not aware of as much. I know about Dylan Friends, who's done some stuff with you, and a couple others, but I think the game's in a great spot. And when we're talking about expansions, I think that's really important that we get that right. But for the most part, mate, I think it's in a really good spot, and I can't complain. It's given me solid income and a job to have my opinion on it. So, what about you? You got a little nugget?
I was going to load the question.
Yeah, go load it
and
up.
I was going to say, is rugby league in the best position it's ever been in? Which is loading in the positive side.
Yes.
I personally think it is.
Yeah, same.
The game has never been in a better position. Like we are, right now, there was 45,000 people on a Monday at Bulldogs versus Eels out at a core stadium.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's insane.
I think back to the golden years before the Super League war would probably stand out. Like whenever I see, maybe because it's highlights, there's generally finals games, so there's always a lot of people. I feel like that war rubbed people the wrong way around that time, which led to a bit of a drop-off with some fans. But you're right. I think right now it's taken a while. I think we're better with our understanding, our players' are understanding of where they are in the game and the problems. Like I feel like maybe 5-6 years ago there was dramas off the field. Like we're getting better in that sense as well. Yeah, the game's in a great spot.
Great spot. And the product is good. Like I just never, even when I started doing content, the hype around it, like I just feel like at the moment it's getting to a point where it's cool to like rugby league. Like it's becoming, whereas I feel like for a period, although it was like it wasn't not cool to like rugby league, but it just wasn't as celebrated as right now. Whereas I feel like it's getting to the point rugby league where it's becoming like the hype thing. Like that's the thing. You want to be around rugby league, the stars we got in our game, the content that's being created, the engagement from the younger audience. Like, whereas I feel a few years ago, it didn't seem as cool to be in it.
I reckon social media plays a big part of it.
Huge part of it. And that's where I think that if there's one area one area that we do beat AFL, it is social media. Because we have way more podcasts that doing what we're doing. Now they're catching up. Obviously, we've got Dylan Friends.
Yep.
You've got Dan Gorringe. It's just started his podcast. But they're probably a few years behind us in this part of the game. Now, don't get me wrong. I know AFL is probably 10 years ahead of us financially. All that.
And
never
crowd attendance and all that.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I get that.
Yep.
But in regards to all the content and that, I think that we are a bit ahead of. And also, rugby league suits the content game because although it's good to not have the rogue stuff that happens off field, there is some rogue. Like I feel like NRL embraces the kind of just shit chat. Like we've got journos that like will just say stuff and talk about stuff that really. Whereas in AFL, I don't know if they still do it, but I think there was a period there where like if you're a media member and you didn't like toe the line, like they were pretty harsh on you.
Yeah.
Whereas it's a Wild West in rugby league. And I think
360 is a perfect example.
It's the Wild West. and I think what has been good for rugby league is that the fans have almost embraced it. They said, look, I'm not going to take certain things seriously, but at the same time, I'm going to enjoy the soap opera. I'm going to enjoy that this is just rugby league. We have dramas every single week. Like, think about how many dramas have happened in like the last month of rugby league. And they've all been couth dramas, not uncouth dramas.
Yeah.
Dramas that have been like, even the whole Latrell situation coming into Origin.
Yep.
Think about how much media that propelled out into the world. Just him deciding to go, him and Madge. For example.
Sitting at that table with that picture
I'll tell you right
that went
now.
viral.
Yeah, exactly. So just on mine alone, so we would have been, just on mine alone, on Instagram alone, it got 13,500 likes. And so, but everyone, so that, I wasn't the only one that posted that.
Yeah.
This
That's
was
just
everywhere.
you.
This is just me.
You're not even South Sydney. You're not even Latrell Mitchell. You're
Nah.
bloke in a bar who is the biggest podcast, but still.
Yeah, and so that's 13,500. That's the circus of rugby league. It's just like, we love that shit. We fucking love it. I think it's awesome. I think we're in a really good spot. I am, although I think the competition is close right now, I still think there's only probably 3 or 4 teams that can win the comp. I do think there's a bit of a gap in rosters still that needs to be kind of evened out to a degree.
Yep.
Because, as I said, I know it's close now, but I do get the sense that when we start getting close to finals footies, you see the premium squads just take that step
Yeah, they
up.
always do, don't they? Like it always feels like that, and then you get closer to finals time and they flick a switch. I just really feel like Broncos and Panthers don't have the room for error that they had last year. They lost too many good players.
Not. Broncos are massively on the slide, in my opinion.
Yeah. They're still capable. I don't want to rule them out until I just really think Reece Walsh is that good that I want to see what they look like when he's back. But the concerning thing is Nathan's missed so much time for Penrith and they don't drop off as dramatically as what. Again, that goes back to the culture and the system that Ivan's built out there now, and a couple of the other senior players that continue to rip in. They do such a good job, so they've got to be again the team to beat. But yeah, like I said, I feel like there's a mirage. I feel like they're more human, but then I haven't seen Nath. So when Nath comes back and has an extended break and turns it on,
I reckon it's Penrith and daylight at the moment. I really think about the injuries they've had, and they haven't really missed a beat.
Yeah,
I think that at the moment for me, who can win the comp right now? It's Melbourne, Penrith, and the Roosters. Outside of that, Broncos would be in the next tier right now.
Yep.
They have the squad to do it when Reno gets back, when Walsh gets back, but right now they're in the lower tier, probably in the same tier as like your Sharkies, and you have Broncos. Who else did you have there?
Dolphins? What do you think about Dolphins?
Yeah, they're an interesting one because I feel like, do they have the roster to take the next step with the injuries they've got? They lost Gilbert and Flegler.
That'd be huge if they had those two.
Then
they would be a genuine contender. They just re-signed Jeremy Marshall-King too.
Huge re-signing.
Like, think about their core. Like, if you're looking at the core of teams and the potential recruitment that they've got, Hammer's locked in long term. Isaiah Katoa was locked in long term. They just did Jeremy Marshall-King. They got Max Plath locked in long term.
Max Plath.
And hopefully, whatever happens with Psycho Plath, I love him too, by the way. I think I said this the other day to Mace. He reminds me when I first seen Ruben Cotter.
Yeah.
I first watched Ruben Cotter play for the Indigenous All-Stars game without maybe 1 or 2 games at North Queensland. I went, oh, that guy's a goer, man. He's a really good player. Yep. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, he's an out-and-out first grader. And then I'm like, holy shit, he just won the Wally Lewis medal. How did that happen? Like, where did Ruben Cotter come from? I think in a couple of years we're going to be saying the same things about Max Plath. I've got a massive rap, and my player who I thought was going to take the biggest leap to become a household name was Tom Gilbert. He gets injured right at the start of the year. There is so much to love about the Dolphins, and I just think because they're a new franchise, they don't have the fan base like other teams do, but they're building something special there. And I hope it doesn't, every time Wayne leaves a team, they completely fall off the cliff. I hope that doesn't happen to the Dolphins because
well, put it this way.
I love the roster that they've got.
In regards to the ingredients you need to be a powerhouse club, they have it all.
Everything.
They literally have arguably an even better base than Penrith. And I don't mean in terms of numbers, but I mean in terms of their young juniors that come through Redcliffe in that area. Like, put it this way. When I was coming through the grade, we had a reserve grade Broncos side called the Clydesdales.
Yep.
Redcliffe Dolphins, who not an NRL side, at this stage had no affiliation to NRL sides. This was just blokes that they may have played NRL at one stage, but they had retired from it. They were just blokes working full-time jobs. They would win the comp sometimes against
Broncos Reggies,
Storms Reggies as well, with North Devils. They would beat us sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how strong their juniors are.
Yeah.
All the way through. So you've got the juniors sorted. As I said, numbers-wise, probably not as big as Penrith, but when you're talking about systems that took Penrith 10 years to build, Dolphins have built that for 50 years. Like, they've had this whole system set up for literally like 50 years, maybe even longer. When you talk about money, they are the second richest club. There's an argument made the richest club. When they came into the comp, they reportedly had $80 million in the bank cash, just ready to go. Their leagues club is friggin' massive. So financially, they are set. They've got the best young 7 coming through the grades right now in Katoa.
Love him.
And so what do you build? Like, you can build you've got Hammer, the best young outside back. Yeah. Oh, well, him and Reece Walsh, but they're pretty much on par to a degree. So when you look at ingredients, it's all there. The only question that they have is obviously injury-free, as injury-free as possible. But if the next coach can be the coach good enough to take them there.
Yeah.
That's really the only question.
Huge task.
Massive task.
Because history says that any coach that comes after Wayne struggles, and that's I think people have been critical of Wayne and said like he hasn't put the best people in that position to follow him. I think it's just purely because Wayne's just so good, and like you can't mimic that. Like you can watch Wayne talk to players and have communicate with them, and whatever the game plan is, whatever the training program is. But you can't mimic the presence that he has. So naturally, it's going to drop off. I just hope it doesn't dramatically drop off. And I hope Flegler can play rugby league again because I'm concerned with some of the reports around that. And I want to see Tommy Gilbert back, who's had a rough couple of years with injury. Like, I feel like the Cowboys have lost all their grunt through the middle when they lost him. And, I've got a huge opinion of Tommy Gilbert.
I agree with you in regards to the Wayne Bennett aura and magic that he has is just, it's a unique thing that no one else has for sure. But my theory around the Wayne Bennett, post-Wayne Bennett world, it's like anything, like whether it's, and stick with me here, guys, stick with me here.
Let's go on a tangent. Are we going to go on a tangent?
A little bit.
Yeah, love it.
So sometimes, let's say you've got a dictator in an area and he is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But he's such a piece of shit, he keeps everything in check.
Yep.
You go in, you kill that dictator. There's now a power vacuum. And so it always happens because you've taken out the guy that used to be so strong in leadership. Like whatever he said, it went. And I think like with Wayne Bennett, when he leaves clubs, there's this huge power vacuum that he used to have. Like he's one of the unique coaches where he doesn't get told what to do by anyone. From recruitment to literally all the scheduling.
CEO, owners, no one
tells him what to do.
Yep.
Whereas most coaches have a CEO or director or owners that will say, this is what you do. This is your budget. This is what you're going to do, blah, blah. And so when he leaves, there's a big power vacuum of different people that think that they know best.
Yeah, I like it.
And so, and on top of that, because he has so much success at clubs, when he leaves, there's guys there that go, well, I was here when this all happened. I was a part of it. So we can handle without Wayne because I did it as well.
Yeah.
And so they start thinking that they know what the right answers
better
are.
than what they actually are.
Exactly. And so the power vacuum that happens is you got a head coach that comes in and he is used to the environment that Wayne created. So he thinks, well, I get to do the same thing. Like, this is the way it's been done. This is how you get success. You give all the power to the coach. Then the CEO goes, bruh, you're not Wayne Bennett. You don't get to tell me what to do. You're an assistant. You're, bruh.
Yeah.
And then there's other factions in the club. Look what happened at the Rabbitohs. Yeah. Multiple factions in the club believing there was a certain way to do things. They clash. One leaves. The other one stays. There's still people left over from that initial faction still fighting. He leaves. All of a sudden, the two heads of either faction, they wouldn't have known they were ahead of it.
Yeah.
With them both gone, air cleared, now all of a sudden the players are essentially ones with the power. They're playing good footy.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a power vacuum situation with Wayne leaving.
Yeah, 100%. And even go back to like if you're going to go, that same conversation relates to the players. So you like we could be sitting in here, me and you as assistant coaches, right? Wayne saying this wasn't good enough by X player. I'm going to say something in video, pulls him up. The player's like, yeah, whatever. That's Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
That exact same, he could have done that exact same thing the following year. Yeah. Remember last year when, so-and-so did this? Let's pull him up. And that same player might be like, nah.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Nah.
I think
what about, no, this happened. And then you're like, shit, that was way different to what, that exact moment, that exact play could be completely the same as what happened last year, but he's got a different response to it.
Well, and also, like, imagine you're a 300-game player and you've got a guy in his second year as a head coach or first year as a head coach, and he's trying to tell you what to do. And you've won premierships, you've played Origin, and it's a very awkward relationship because you've done way more in the game than this rookie coach. And so that's why, they often turn to ex-players with huge resumes because at least they have power in the dressing room. Like, if Craig Fitzgibbon tells you, oi, brah, pull your head in, you may not respect his coaching credentials because he doesn't have any yet, but you respect his career.
100%.
If you're a coach that has no real, you have some experience, but it's like 20 games, whatever. Very hard to tell a 300-game veteran, this is how you play rugby league in your first year of coaching as well.
You've almost got to start off with a rookie type squad. Similar to what sort of Serraldo's done to a degree, right? I was just about to say, what did Serraldo do? He walked in and he said, see you later. Got a bunch of battlers that he knew they're battlers. So they just, whatever the orders are from the coach, they don't care who it is. Journeyman, 150 gamers, guys that weren't long-term players.
Zero egos. They came in and said, we'll take the calls. And also, another key, in my opinion, he brought in his main man, Critter. Who's his guy? Like, he brought Critter through the grades. He was, I think he was the under-20s coach at the time.
He was, yeah.
And so he's his man. I always think that one mistake that rookie coaches make is you need almost like a rat in the squad. You don't want it to be a rat. But he needs to be your guy no matter what. Because you want him permeating your messages throughout the squad, even when you're not there. But if you don't have your guy and you've got a veteran or a leader that you've never coached under him, like, you don't know what he's saying. You don't know what he's saying to the players. Whereas I think that what Wayne does when he goes to clubs, you always see him give huge raps to a very specific player.
Yep.
When he went to the Rabbitohs, he basically said Cody Walker was like Cliffy Lyons or something like that. And he immediately got Cody Walker on side. You know why? Because Cody Walker's the tone setter there.
Yeah.
Like Trell,
most influential.
100%. Who does Latrell look up to? It's Cody Walker. Now, Latrell's also a tone setter.
Yep.
And so I think that, I don't know how we went down this route, but
I
that's
like
where
it.
we're...
No, I like it. Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. He's back to the critter one. You can see, like, I'm really big on my post-match press conference. So I watch him. It gives me a good indication of how the game's going, how the club's going, and all those sorts of things. Stephen Crichton is 100% an extension of Cameron Ciraldo.
Yeah.
And like you said, I know you're sort of joking around about the rat term. He doesn't need to go and report back to Ciraldo.
No.
But if Ciraldo's not there, Crichton is... letting the playing group know what Ciraldo wants while he's not there.
Absolutely.
100%.
You just need that.
Yep.
Otherwise, what happens is if you start losing games and then the senior players disagree with you, you've got senior players disagreeing with the head coach. Guess what happens? There's a fucking huge schism in the playing group. The whole playing group doesn't believe the coach is right because the senior players are saying it.
Yep.
As soon as you lose put it this way, I personally believe, as soon as you lose the senior playing group, you may as well pack your bags and fucking walk out the door.
I agree with that.
You've got two things. You can pack your bags and leave, or you've got to get rid of every single senior player that doesn't agree with your coaching style.
Yep.
But quick question.
Yeah, quick question. How did we get to that? Where did that come
Dolphins,
from?
Wayne
Dolphins?
Bennett, dictatorships,
Yep.
killing people.
Yep.
Then we went to the one ingredient that the Dolphins need is a good coach.
Such a good tangent. Such a good tangent.
Stephen Crichton, is he
Yes.
your Dally M captain of the year so far? That's a loaded question. But
Yeah, I'm trying to think. He'd definitely be favourite or be right up there. Who are the other teams? Sharks, Nico. They've been thereabouts. Who else is up the top? Dolphins. Who's the Dolphins? Jesse Bromwich. He would have a case. Yeah. Generally, the coach and the captain of the year is normally from a team that has struggled the year before.
Yep.
The most improved captain and coach, basically.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
Cam Ciraldo and Stephen Crichton have got to be up there for both.
Mate, at the moment, if you were selecting tonight, he's my Dally M captain of the year.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they are the second best defensive side in the competition right now is actually insane. With that roster as well, like, and I know it sounds like I'm not trying to disrespect the players because they've played more NRL than me. They're better players than me. So, but on paper, they should not be doing what they're doing. Like, it's insane.
Here's how you gauge the importance of Stephen Crichton. And this is something I think that happened organically at the start of the year. When they were struggling games and weren't winning, a couple of things happened. Bronson Xerri played his first game, so it allowed Stephen Crichton to go to the right because they were so heavily left dominated. They had Burton, Crichton, Kickow, and Fox all on the left edge.
Yep.
Huge personalities, but they had pushed Carraz back out onto the wing.
He's essentially on the
Yeah,
edge.
and once you move Critter over there, you moved your best group. You moved your alpha to the right. So now the right feel like they got a bit of dog about him.
Yep.
Carraz, his performance just went
so good.
crazy. Like the work that he gets through on the wing, and then again, I seen it against the Parramatta game, and Fox is missing, right? So instead of putting Blake Wilson over with the Bronson Xerri, they moved Carraz over to the left and put Blake Wilson next to Stephen Crichton.
Yeah, okay.
And that, for me, I don't know if it's like Blake Wilson's some really gun right winger that I didn't know about, but there's a part of me that thinks that Ciro went, you know what, if I'm going to bring this guy and he's going to play about the next 6 to 8 weeks with Fox out, I trust Stephen Crichton more than, not necessarily trust him over Bronson Xerri, but he's the guy to look
helps.
after him.
Yep.
So we can move Carraz over to the other side.
Do the Dogs make the 8?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yep.
And if you had asked me that 3 weeks ago, I would have said nah.
Yeah.
Like, where they're on a great run, they're going to run out of steam. But I think that they've just set such a high standard that, like, I think they do make the 8.
When was the Para game? Was that before or after Origin? That game was it for me.
It was after? Yeah,
I was going into that game going, the winner of this game, both of these two teams have to win to be a chance.
Yeah.
And I was super impressed by the way the Bulldogs won.
Mate, they had 61% completion with 20 minutes to go. They'd lost like 3 players. They'd already missing Kickout, already missing Fox. They had no right to win that game. And they had Mitchell, Moses, Dylan Brown coming at them.
Yeah.
and they just controlled the game with their defense. It's just, I know it's ad nauseum, but defense wins premierships. Like, it's seriously, you may as well, if your team isn't decent at defense, you may as well just go, well, we're pretty much not a chance. Like, it's just, you're not going to get through a final series unless you can keep teams to below a certain amount of points. You're just not. You don't necessarily have to be the best defensively, but you got to be top four.
And even more so, even like this day and age, like that was a staple, like when you were coming through. But now, like if you can defend, if you can keep, I remember back in the day, it used to be if you can keep, the parameter for us at Manly was keep them under 2 tries. 12 points was if you basically keep them under 12 points, you win like 90% of your games or something crazy like that, which is pretty obvious probably to most. But I reckon even now 18 points with how many points they've scored.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that would probably be the target, which is still, 3 tries, perfect.
All right, guys, the LDV T60 power play of the week, it was the Hammer. The LDV T60 has 160 kilowatts of grunt, which makes it one of the most powerful utes in its class. Auto from 38990 drive away for ABN holders, 7 years / 200,000 kilometre warranty. Whichever occurs first, at that price, why go second hand when you can have a brand new LDV? Don't forget, use code Stefano for $7 off your menu log this week. If you don't have menu log, download it because each week you get discount codes. You get essentially the price of what it would be for you to drive to the store. You get it to your door with the discounts that we give. So Stefano, Stefano, for $7 off Menulog this week. A massive thank you, as always, to Menulog for supporting the platform. KO's got you covered this footy season with every game of every round live and ad break free during play. Some key games this weekend include Titans v Warriors, Roosters v Bulldogs, and South v Manly, which are exclusive to Fox League and available on KO, but you can watch all games live and ad free during play on KO. Origin under-19s tonight. Any blokes to look out for, mate?
I haven't had a massive look at this. I couldn't stop laughing when I seen you promote that it was the CBA Cup or whatever it was.
The Great Roo.
And then, like, genuinely, Guru has got himself involved in this.
So good.
That is crazy to, like, think about where content has come that they've put that on this game. But
it's called the CBA Bowl.
It works. CBA Bowl. That's so good. Mate, I'm more familiar with the guys that have played first grade. I'm not as familiar. So if you've got any juicy tips for me for the boys to look out for, I'll be watching the game. I always watch this game every year.
Yep.
But there's so many unknowns, and then generally once they come out of this game, there we go. The one that Mace has been talking about at the Dogs, Mitchell Woods. I've heard a lot about him.
Yeah, so he's a big CBA watcher.
Yeah.
Won Player of the Year. They signed him long term, and actually partly the reason why the Dogs didn't go after. Well, they spoke to Mitch Moses reportedly.
Yeah.
But I think the Dogs went, you know what? We're not going to go spend a lot of cash in the market and try and win a premiership, in the next 24 months. We've got a guy coming through that we're going to develop. We're going to sign him on a long-term deal and hope that in 3 or 4 years, when everyone's ready and the club is ready, that's when we go on our premiership push. That's how much, I don't think they've put all their eggs in the Mitchell Woods basket, but he absolutely is touted as hopefully the guy long-term for him.
Yeah, and I've heard all very similar. And, I've got the big man that's well entrenched within that, and they're really excited about it. Another one, Matthew Arthur, the son of Brad Arthur. Brad Arthur was my assistant coach at Parramatta and Manly, so I remember little Bud running around as a kid. Obviously, Jakey Arthur's younger brother as well. I think he's a bit of a tearaway. He's going to play hooker for New South Wales. He played a trial and poor fella got knocked out on his first tackle of the game.
Poor fella. That was against the Raiders, wasn't it?
I can't wait. I haven't seen him in live, actually. Apart from that.
I've heard good raps about him.
Yeah. He's just tough. Like, he always was like a little mini clone of Brad, like a little angry man. So I'm excited to see what he looks like in some live action.
The McLean brothers, who just re-signed with the Panthers, huge raps on them. And reports are that, it's partly the reason that Panthers were okay with losing outside backs to a degree because they got the McLean brothers coming through. No pressure. No pressure at all. That
try from Jesse a couple of weeks ago.
Great stuff.
Unbelievable.
Great stuff. Outside of that, I'm just looking it through. Look,
Chevy's obviously the one that stands out too. Chevy Stewart.
Yeah, so he had huge raps last year, and he probably didn't play his best game. But Chevy Stewart this year, now being a year older, you'd expect him to dominate. Having played NRL as well, you'd expect him to dominate.
There's a couple of older guys there at Canberra that are not too far away, and he was my dog of the week in that game that he got pizzled by the Broncos. Remember that? And he just kept on coming. So I love that about him. I can understand Ricky just dropping him back now, and he should be a player that thrives in this game off the back of that.
Speaking of Canberra, finally Ethan Sanders, who was the halfback last year for the Blues under-19s, has been officially signed by Canberra as of about 45
Officially
minutes ago.
signed?
So it wasn't official the other day.
I knew it wasn't, but I didn't want to
Okay,
say to
we'll
Timmy.
celebrate Raiders fans because he's a bloody good young seven coming through. I tell you what, if your name's Loco Junior Pacifica Tonga, you're in for a big game.
Loco Junior.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
and he's a prop as well.
Yeah.
He has literally been put on this earth to play rugby league.
Oh, yes. Actually, Mace was doing some stuff and went and watched. Can you check and find out if he plays for this Dragons SG Ball, please, Matty? I said they watched because the Bulldogs played the Dragons in the SG Ball Cup.
Yep.
And Mace walked away and goes, some Loco kid, Loco Tonga. He was the best player on the field.
He's a beast.
Dragons?
Starting prop for the Dragons in the 40
There you go.
to 40
Mace
to
reckons he's
18
a tearaway.
SG Ball Grand Final.
Tearaway.
That is rugby league. Can you imagine the big fella playing 8 for NRL and his name's Loco Junior Pacifica Tonga?
Right next to Payne Haas.
Bro, that is so
Senior.
good. That's so good.
Wow, he's already played New South Wales Cup.
Far out.
He's
So he's a guy that I'm keen to see.
Yep.
Outside of that, I'm just looking through these names.
Noah Martin, has he played anywhere before? Has he played first grade yet? Name rings a bell for some reason. Cody Hopwood, is he related to? No, because he'd be Queensland. I was going to say
You never
Jermaine.
know, to be honest. With
And that's
Queensland.
Hopgood, not Hopwood.
All right,
There we
Queensland.
go. That's how familiar I am with some of these young players.
Guy to watch, Purdue at the back.
Yep.
He actually debuted for the Cowboys at centre.
I
and
like him.
There's not much of him, big string being, but he moves like he's really skinny and tall, not super tall.
I called the game, his debut game. We're doing it at
He was
SEN
good.
at Allianz. Loved him.
Yep.
And for me, there's a reason they haven't re-signed Chad.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
he's their guy.
So he play halves, you reckon?
I think that's his position. Apparently,
Oh, really?
apparently his position was halves. He's been thrown in the centres and now he's playing fullback. You know when like the gun kid is
Just play anywhere.
you maybe put him in the most important position, which is probably fullback, where he can touch it all over the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looked really good in his against the Roosters. He was outstanding. He looks like, and this is respectfully to Lachlan Galvin. When I seen Lachlan Galvin play the first time, I was like,
They don't look physically ready.
yeah,
But he plays way above his weight.
yeah, yep.
Two blokes to Israel Leota.
Yep.
He's a great outside back for Broncos, but one you want to watch is Kobe Black.
Okay,
So similar-ish to the Bulldogs in regards to the Broncos have identified him. I personally think like you've obviously got Jock Madden that, you know, I'm sure he's working towards hopefully replacing Reynolds. But if he doesn't, I think Kobe Black is the guy that they're hopefully. He's still really young. I think he only just turned 18 this year. But I think the Broncos are looking to him and going, you know what? When Reno goes, hopefully you're ready for first grade, or at least
he played in that first trial against the
Played
Burleigh
really well.
Bears. Was it the Burleigh Bears they played?
no, the Wynnum Seagulls.
Wynnum, yep.
Played really well,
Yep.
but also he actually was responsible for. There was a game this year where they won like 112-0 or whatever. And he scored like fucking 50 points or some shit like that. Something crazy. So
I bet you I wouldn't even score in that game too. I bet you I'd be like, I'm on the team list and I didn't score on a 100-point win.
So yeah, he's absolutely. I mean, when you talk about importance of a player to such a big club, like Kobe Black's the kind of guy that if he keeps going on the trajectory, similar to the Wood situation where
Yep.
like they could change a club's trajectory. Now I know the Broncos are already going. I mean, they're not going well right now, but they've got a good roster.
Yeah.
But when you talk about importance to a town, like a guy like Kobe Black, like if he comes in and replaces Reynolds and does a good job,
Yeah.
like
You know what's a comp for it? Like, when we think about the Broncos, right? The Manly Seagulls were in such a beautiful spot when they won the comp in 2011, and they got a young Daly Cherry Evans on unders as a youngster who performed straight away. Guys like that, they can have a massive effect. So by the time, if he plays in the next couple of years, the year that he debuts, you've got Reece Walsh,
Ezra
stacked
Mann.
team, like everything's there. If he can be the guy, then you can easily see them taking that next step. The other guy that played in that Cowboys game was Jamal Shibasaki as well. He looked good. Geez, they can produce some back rows, the Cowboys.
I know. What is with that? Like, they are stacked. Finny Fuaki, who's going to the Dolphins next year. I cannot wait.
Connolly Lemuelu was playing there a couple of years ago as well.
Yep. And then you got, obviously, Hillam Lukey, Nanai.
Tom Gilbert played back row up there. He was playing edge before he played middle.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It was 130-0, and he scored 46 points.
130-0. Was it Burleigh versus someone?
It was, Burleigh Bears up against Wide Bay Bulls.
130-0. How does that happen?
On the other side, is that against Tonga? Is that De La Salle? De La Salle?
Oh, what a name.
De La Salle.
De La Salle Va'a?
That's a beautiful name as well.
What about that combination against each other?
8 versus 10.
Holy.
Let's go.
Love
it's a name
that.
off.
Outside of that, I think, I cannot wait. So that's obviously tonight. Also, the women's under 19 is tonight as well.
Yep.
So I can't wait for that game. Make sure to watch it. A lot of the girls that you see playing now in Origin, obviously, plenty of them played in that game. Especially because the women's game is not as big in regards to numbers. You see way more from their, Queensland, New South Wales go on to play, NRLW and for the state because the numbers are less. So the chances of going through and playing NRL probably, I assume, a little bit higher.
Yeah, for sure.
So I cannot wait. So that one I think is like 5:45 or 5:30. 5:45, and then obviously the men's one 7:30 or something.
7:45.
7:45. Weird times. Men's Origin. Thoughts on those odds? $1.93 and $1.91.
Yeah, that's about right.
You reckon?
Yeah. Look, I can see it going either way.
So
you're exactly right. New South Wales is going to have to win it. I think they can, but I can understand where Queensland they just tough it out. They just find a way.
Find a way to win.
I
do find it interesting that at this time, before game one, playing in Sydney, I think, $2.30 or something?
Yeah, they were definitely in the twos.
And so I remember that time saying, that's way too far out. It's in Sydney. But with a couple of changes, they've come this far in to essentially be on equal with Queensland. I find that really interesting. Like, is it the changes that... Because it's surely not the home ground.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that it's game 2 and they desperate to win and Queensland can have the one in the bank?
That could factor in potentially for them. A lot of people, for me, at the start of the series, I said New South Wales have to win game 1 to win the series because they couldn't go up to Queensland. So I gave New South Wales this match because again, you got to think the different storylines that go with it. But I really think a lot of people believe that New South Wales have a better team in game 2 than they did game 1.
Yeah, for sure. I bet it's crazy to think that how many changes were made? So 3 changes?
3 changes. 4, Cam Murray.
4.
Cam Murray, Connor Watson, Mitch Moses and Latrell.
Can drop the odds by, you're looking at 40 cents nearly?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I actually...
And the injury concerns around maybe New South Wales.
Yes, true.
With the Nico Hines calf, just say if Nico blown his calf out in that first 15 minutes, a lot of people would have just banked on Queensland for that reason.
So although I am surprised at the difference at this time, like New South Wales with 230, I actually think those odds of basically being 50-50 is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And I actually said that in game 1, I didn't think it was 50-50. I actually thought it was probably 60-40 with Queensland more likely to win.
Yep.
But I actually thought the odds were a bit far out. They ended up coming in to be quite close. I think these odds right now I do believe by the time game time rolls around, New South Wales become favourites. But I think $1.90 each, essentially. I know $1.93, $1.91. I personally think that's pretty accurate for me. I think it's a coin toss, this game.
Yep.
Queensland could come out and kill it, or New South Wales, because they're so desperate to the series, could come out and just blow them off the park. So I think it's even. Women's game, Queensland $2.05, New South Wales $1.77. I actually agree with this too, because I thought game 1, the New South Wales women dominated Queensland, and game 2 they dominated them for 60 minutes of the game, and Queensland somehow, some way stayed in it and won the game.
Yep.
So I think New South Wales, these odds of it, Queensland being $2.05, New South Wales $1.77, about right.
The women got a crazy stat where they actually go better in the opposite state.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So there's something like that where they play better in the opposite state. So again, because of that, New South Wales won up in Townsville last year, but lost the series on aggregate, remember?
Yep. Yeah, it's so shit.
So that was a weird feel. I was at that game as well. I can see, I think the Queensland Spirit will get them home in that last game though.
Okay. Dolphins v the Storm. Dolphins $2.65, Storm $1.49. Who are you going?
Dolphins.
Dolphins, wow.
Dolphins, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going Storm. Titans, Warriors.
Waz.
Roosters or Bulldogs?
Roosters. I want to pick the Bulldogs, but Roosters.
Yeah, I'm going Roosters. Rabbitohs, Manly.
Manly every day of the week.
Manly with that Ches.
And on Sunday.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, got to bet every week.
My bad. I'm going Rabbitohs. Tigers, Raiders.
It's a tricky one. I'm going to go Raiders, but I wouldn't be surprised. This could be a Lock and Galvin week off, comes back, a lot of noise. Yeah, something tricky could happen, but I'm going to go Raiders.
Okay. All right, that's us done, Dustin. Make sure to subscribe to the Levels podcast. Just getting better. I'm seeing you're moving up the charts. You sit in the top 10 most weeks now in the sports.
Yep, we're doing well.
Whereas last year you would have been, top 20 sometimes?
You have to ask Lukey. He's better with those numbers than what I am.
Okay.
But, it's trending well, mate.
That's
and
so good.
obviously you've supported us from day one, so really appreciate it.
No, all good, man.
And subscribe to Bloke. If you haven't done it, subscribe to Bloke as
If
well.
you're just listening to this just fucking randomly, come on, bros. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button.
Double subscribe. Can you subscribe at the same time?
And the best thing about Levels is you get your footy chat, but it's definitely a different vibe and it's just different to the way Bloke does things, which is good. It's options, so it's not exactly the same. It's not just a rip-off of Bloke. It's genuinely its own thing, so you're going to get a unique take that's... Honestly, the opinions on there, probably 7 times out of 10, would probably be different to my
Than
opinions.
most.
Probably maybe more. Maybe more. So it's not just like you're listening to the same shit twice. You're going to get something different. So head over to Levels and give it a subscribe on YouTube, but also Apple and Spotify. And as usual... Oh, and make sure to grab your good day. We'll go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.